Hey, what's up? This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to talk about Tim Tszyu and his new quest to resurge his career. Really quick, if you like the videos, please take the time right now. Subscribe to the channel. It literally takes one click. Also, if you could, please hit the thumbs up button. It shows love and supports this channel. So let's jump into it. Tim Tszyu is going to be making his rounds in the U.S. And the purpose of this trip is solely for him to find a new trainer. I like where he's going. You know, his thought process. I like that. But there are some things that I don't necessarily like. So he recently put out a statement in which case he says, I want a different coach. I agree with you there, Tim. We're both on the same page. I'll be scouting. Tim will literally just be scouting the U.S., searching, for a coach in different gyms, and more than likely he's going to go with a high class, somebody like a Derek James or a Bo Mack or something like that. But I don't like everything he said. So what he said was, he wants a motivator. Now, I understand that, there are going to be rough days in the gym, and I'm nowhere near the level where Tim Tszyu is in terms of, boxing status or anything like that. But just somebody who trains every day, I understand what he's talking about. Sometimes you just need somebody to motivate you or get you through a training camp or just get you through just a workout in general, or get you up, or to remind you that you can do it, remind you of your purpose, remind you of the path that you've carved out for yourself as a warrior, as a fighter, as a boxer. So for that, I understand where he's going with it. But at this stage and at this age, I don't feel like you should have I don't feel like you should need a motivator. If you truly have a championship heart and spirit and mind, I don't necessarily feel like you need somebody to say, you can do it, Rock, you can do it. That I don't like. I understand where he's coming from because he's had, the dips that he's had, and he just came off, he's still coming off the recent loss to the Fundora in a rematch. I get that. I totally get it. But I feel like as a true champion, it should come from here. As a true champion, it should come from here. And as a true champion, the two should sync. And that's not something that I need for you to remind me of, or for you to, fill up my cup with. I feel like that's something that's on the inside. I just feel like that's something that's on the inside, and you're already having to climb your way back up. So there's a part of me that understands what he's saying. But the bulk of that will have to come from him, because he's the one who's going to have to do the work. He's the one who's going to have to get in that ring. And he's the one that everybody's doubting. They're not doubting his coach. They're doubting him. Well, I doubted his coaches several times, and I was right. And now he sees that he had the wrong coaches and the wrong management. But that's neither here nor there. A lot of that's going to have to come from him. I don't know if it's 70-30, but the bulk of it will come from him. 20-80, the bulk of it will come from Tim Tszyu. You can't bring somebody in. I can be with Tim, but I can only give so much. He has to believe. See, the physical part is easy. It actually is. I don't know, I know there's many out there who train, and I don't just mean boxing. I mean, you can play football. You can, or you call it soccer. You can play football. You could play, golf, whatever it is, cross-country running, whatever it is. It has to come from here, because it's not easy. And boxing is 10 times more hard in the sense that you're going to have to conjure that stuff up, because a lot of times you're going to be alone when you do it. It's not easy. And for him to say, I need a motivator, I don't like that language. I don't like that language at all. I would have preferred him say, I want someone to help motivate me, or to either meet me or match me in motivation. That's okay. But to say as a motivator, No, that doesn't scream I'm a champ. That doesn't scream I'm a champ. So maybe, and I'm just throwing some things out there. I am an educator, so I'm just throwing some things out there. Maybe some therapy. A lot of fighters don't do it, but I think it's beneficial. I think it's helpful to talk, especially when you're coming off of losses. Get things off your chest. A lot of fighters, I guess we're going to go there. A lot of fighters, have nightmares. A lot of fighters can't let things go. A lot of fighters, that fight was probably 20 years ago and he's still talking about it like it happened yesterday because it keeps replaying in his mind. And I can only imagine for Tim Tszyu, for somebody who was like literally right here and face down, he just plummets. I can only imagine what's going on in his mind. I admire the fact that he wants to continue going, but I can only imagine what's going on in his mind. For him to fall so rapidly, so quickly, and be regarded as a B fighter overnight. I can only imagine what's going on in his mind. So maybe if he could speak with somebody, because if I have to motivate you, and this is to anybody, if I have to motivate you in those championship rounds, what's going to make you fight? If I'm the one motivating you, what's going to make you fight? What's going to make you dig harder? No, you're a husband, you're a father. Dig for those purposes. Dig for the purpose that I want to be out of my dad's shadow. Dig for that purpose. Dig for the purpose that, Nikita's still out there. He still looks up to you. You're still his big brother. And you're his guiding light in this arena, in this sport of boxing. Let that be your motivator, that he doesn't get, and he's more properly handled and you can be there for him. Because, as I've been saying, he is the shining star right now of the Tszyu family. It's Nikita. It's no longer Tim. Tim Tszyu is going to now have the career, I truly believe, of Arturo Gatti. He's not gonna be a guy who's unblemished. He's gonna be a guy who's gonna be revered and loved because of his blemishes. And what do I mean? I mean the size of his heart. That's what he's going to be remembered by. That's what people are going to tune in to watch. They're going to see a real fight. They're going to see a guy who's not going to back up. They're going to see a guy who can have his face in a pool of blood and still march forward, throwing punches. That's what they're going to come to see now. I no longer think, and I'm saying this prematurely, so hear me out, if he doesn't get the right trainer, he could be an Arturo Gatti. Just, you're good. You're a good fan-pleasing fight. That's what you are. Is anybody expecting anything great out of you? No. Is anybody expecting you to win a belt, a title? No. Is anybody expecting you to go down in a Hall of Fame? No. Nobody's expecting any of these things from you. But we are expecting you to be a great gatekeeper. You're a great number 5. You're a great number 6. Be the best number 6 you can be. And I want you to guard this gate for who comes in the top 5 with all your life and put on a great show and great performance while you do it. And that's what he'll turn into if he doesn't get the right coach. Which I'll say again, if anybody knows, Tim Tszyu, I'm available. I am available. Throwing it out there, yet again, I am available. But that's what we could get. So, lastly, he said, I want to be surrounded by champs. Again, I don't feel like somebody goes around champions and says, "Now I'm a champion." I think you just naturally feel you rise above the rest, and that's what makes you the champion. I don't feel like you have to be around them. I mean, Usyk's from Ukraine. Terrence Crawford is from Omaha. That's the middle of nowhere. That's no man's land. Naoya Inoue is from Japan. It's not like they're sprouting world champions all over the places from these places. They're not. The point that I'm making is it's on the inside, and it's not who you surround yourself with. It's not the coach you find, and he's gonna just chip away, and his diamond's gonna be there once he's done creating this work of art. It's inside of you, and again, that's another reason why I would like to work with him, because these are things that he needs to hear. These are things that he needs to know. This is not motivational speak. This is speech. This is life. This is life. This is do you still want to do this? And what do you have in you to contribute to this sport? Rather than, can I find somebody to fix me or the problems in me, and then I can hang around some champions and I can feel like a champion, and well, if I hang around champions, I'm going to become a champion. Well, that's not true. That's just simply not true at all. Like, that's just not true. Just because I stand next to Floyd Mayweather, you think that's going to make me a world champion because I stand next to him? That's not true. Standing next to him doesn't make me anything. Hearing him talk about his journey to his titles doesn't do anything for me, but they're cool stories. I'll listen all day. They're cool stories. What do you have in you? What do you have in you? What can you give? How can you take that heart of yours that you've shown us time and time and time again, that has made you and created this personification of this warrior called the Soultaker? What can that person do to get to that next level? Because he was already there. He was already there. What can he do to get back there? There's a few things that I would touch on. I don't know if I'll say it in the next video, because I just there's a few things that I would do with Tim Tszyu, but I feel like he has a lot of things already. Like, his foundation is solid. His foundation is solid, but he does need to be polished in a few areas. That's all I have for now. Drop your thoughts down below.